Morning people, welcome back to F Politics. Donald Trump is now saying exactly what we all feared and knew he would say after Charlie Kirk.
Violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country.
Trump is saying that anybody who calls people like him, or people like Charlie Kirk, fascists or Nazis, is responsible for assassinations like Charlie Kirk. And he's explicitly saying that he's going to use his administration to put an end to it. Do you understand the irony? Because right now, the entirety of the right in the West is saying, this is how the left approaches free speech. Charlie Kirk was just saying common sense stuff, like saying that women who are drunk can't revoke their consent. And the left killed him because they hate free speech, and yet now, the biggest champion of the right, the US President Donald Trump, is now saying that he's going to use all the powers of his office to stop people using nasty words against right-wingers. And let me be absolutely clear. If you call for violence against right-wingers, if you even imply violence, like calling somebody vermin implies that they should be exterminated, then you are guilty of incitement to violence, and that should be stopped by the government. But calling people like Donald Trump a fascist when he is literally arresting people for having views that he does not like, that is just telling the truth and should not be a crime. Or calling Trump a Nazi when the Supreme Court that Trump put in place just ruled that Trump's secret police, because that's what you call masked ICE agents, secret police, are allowed to racially profile suspects. Which means that Trump has just given his secret police the license to black bag minorities. If it quacks like a Nazi, you should be able to call it a Nazi. And so while I do stand by what I said last night, none of that suggests that this is a good thing. This is a horrendous thing. Not because I have some huge empathy for Charlie Kirk, I do not. But because the Western right is going to use this as a justification for an authoritarian police state. And so you can have your private debates about what you think Charlie Kirk deserved, but this is what annoys me in politics. Because what a specific individual politician deserves is far less important than what the country deserves. Even if, because Charlie Kirk supported policies and ideologies that endangered or ended the lives of tens of thousands of people, you think he deserved it, the country does not deserve what happens next. This is a bad thing. But do you know who I will not be taking any lectures from? Politicians on the right, like people like Boris Johnson. The politicians climbing over themselves to say political violence has no place in our society. But Boris Johnson literally weaponized death threats against his fellow MPs to get his own way over Brexit.
With many of us in this place subject to death threats and abuse every single day.
As the woman who has taken over a seat that was left by our dear friend Joe Cox, can I ask him, in all honesty, as a human being, please, will he, going forward, moderate his language so that we will all feel secure when we're going about our job?
The best way to ensure that every parliamentarian is properly safe and we dial down the current anxiety in this country is to get Brexit done.
That was him literally saying, back my Brexit plans or you might get shot to death. So he was perfectly happy to use political violence as a tool to get what he wanted. And now he has the nerve to say that political violence has no place in our society? Get entirely fucked, my guy. And Nigel Farage is on stage hugging somebody who pled guilty to inciting racial hatred after she called for asylum seekers to be burned alive. And then people did literally try and do that. And yet he's also saying that violence has no place in our society. And this is the hypocrisy that pisses me off, because now that Trump is in power, he is arguing that political violence is never the answer because he doesn't have to use it, even though he's literally using the violence of the state to kidnap people, while joking about how the people that he's kidnapped might have to run from alligators. But when he didn't have power, he was literally telling violent white supremacist terror groups to stand back and stand by in case he lost the election. He incited the Capitol riots, which got people killed, and then once he did get into power eventually, he released all of them. And yet now, despite releasing 1,500 people who tried to take over America in a violent coup, he is now saying that political violence has no place in our society. And he is now about to use the violence of the power that politics gave him to silence everybody else. Things are going to get bad. I'm Femi. Make sure you follow F Politics so politics doesn't F you. Have a great week.